How's it going, guys? Welcome to another video. So today we're going to be talking about the 4th gen 4runner drawer system that I had built in my old 4runner. Sadly, I don't have that 4runner anymore, so it's going to be a little harder for me to explain this to you guys. But I found this file. I'm currently in the process of figuring out how to convert this and all the measurements to a two-dimensional blueprint. But for now, all I have is this file, this model, and it's built to scale. So I'm gonna be sharing this file with you guys. You'll be able to download SketchUp. It's a free app, and you'll be able to open this, and with the tools on SketchUp you'll be able to find all the dimensions and measurements that you need. It'll tell you everything you need to know about this, and it's not completely finished, but you have the carcass and the drawer measurements. All you'll have to do is copy this drawer for that side and then put some drawer faces on and run some supports underneath on the bottom here on the front. So we'll go through all of that, and it's really not that hard. So if you watch maybe my DIY overland fridge video, it showcases my drawer system a little bit here, so you can see how it looked, and I'm sure in some other videos you'll be able to see it and find some ideas. But in this one we're going to dive deep, and it's going to be a little more technical, and this is definitely not a project for people that don't have building skills, I guess. But anyone can do this if you know how to measure and use a skill saw, pretty much. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first step that I had in creating this drawer system was cutting out these 3 uprights. So using this file you'll be able to find the measurements. It's about 3 feet long, with some angles here that you'll be able to find using the tools on SketchUp. So that was the first, and if you notice here, all the hard work and angle finding has been done. This will match up to your rear seats perfectly and give you enough room for that little bump behind the seats. So next step after that is cutting out these 2 pieces to connect the rear of the drawer system, and then cutting this top piece. And it's crucial to notice that this top piece is centered with the middle of this upright. And that allows you to use this flap and create a hinge point, so this can flip up. And if you notice, these flaps are designed long so you can scribe these by hand. If you look in here, this is kind of a terrible, let me see if there's a better. So if you see here, I hand scribed this to fit with the interior panels, and you just got to make sure there's enough room for this to flip up, but it's butted up against that interior panel. So you'll have to do that. The best way that I found was to cut out a piece of cardboard after you already have this middle carcass inside. Cut a piece of cardboard to get that shape you want, and then transfer that onto this wooden piece and use your jigsaw or whatever saw you want to transfer that cut onto that piece. So just some other things to note: everything you see here is 3/4 inch plywood. Source that from Home Depot. Find something that's pretty light. I can't even remember what type of wood I used, honestly, but it was a fairly light piece of plywood. That way it was still really strong, but you don't want to weigh down the back of your 4runner any more than it already is. So there's that. And then built the whole drawer, which you should be able to get measurements from off this file. So it's just the 4 walls and the bottom. You leave the top open, obviously. You can create any kind of dividers you want in there, or I even created a cutting board. So if we look here, I had a cutting board insert So all I did there was create some supports, screw them to the inside, and then cut out a piece that fit perfectly in there, and it slid back and forth if you wanted, or you could completely remove it. Another thing to note, I completely scrapped this bifold design for the sleep system, and instead I just created a support that ran the length of the back of the drawer system, and you can see here, that's what I'm talking about. Just cut a piece of scrap and use that as a support. That way I could lay another piece on top, and I just cut a piece to fit from the back of the drawer to the front of my passenger seat, and then I put a built-in support on this piece, so it just kind of sat in there, and I would only bring that with me when I was planning on sleeping in the rig. So that's that. That I don't have dimensions for. You're gonna have to just measure after the fact and cut out. It's not that hard. Some people might want it to go longer, like you can measure out to the point where your passenger seat is slid all the way forward, and that will give you more leg room. Like if you're a tall guy, maybe taller than 6 foot, you'll have to slide that seat forward more and then create a longer platform. So that's up to you what you guys do. Another crucial part to look at here is my drawer sliding system. So this is inch by inch square tubing that I sourced from Home Depot. I believe they sell this tubing in like 6 foot sticks. So I think this drawer is about 3 feet long, so you probably need at least 2 sticks. And then from there, these are skateboard bearings, and it doesn't show in this design, but I ran 4, or I want to say 5 bearings across the length of this tubing, and pretty much all that does, this tube sits on top of the bottom bearings, and the top bearings keep it from tilting, so it's just sandwiched between the 2 rows of bearings. And then I just drilled holes and screwed the tubing directly to the drawer. So you do that on both drawers each side. I'll link to the bearings and some other components that I used here. And then one thing that's not shown here, you want to create a support cross piece on the front. So what I did was I just cut like a 6-inch wide piece that spanned this gap, screwed that in, and I kept it flush with this corner so you can add a drawer face to this. That way you have some more structural integrity. The top kind of supports it, but you don't want this gap spreading with the drawers. It's probably not a huge deal if you don't do that, but I figure having this cross piece is a good idea. And then with the drawers, you just want to make sure that you're not going too tall. So this line here represents the height of your drawer, so you don't want it contacting the top piece either. So just measure out, give yourself a little bit of tolerance up here. So measure from this line up to about here. That's how deep you want your drawers to be, how tall you want them to be, and that allows you to go all the way to this point. So with the angles and everything, that's how far your drawer can go in. So just understand that and consider that when you're looking at this design. This is pretty much the size of your drawer here, with a little more tolerance at the top. And then once everything's built, the finishing touches, if you look here, so I built these drawer faces. Let me see. I don't know. I'll figure that out when it gets here. Not sure how big that's going to be. So if you look here, these are the drawer faces. I found some gloss material from a cabinet company that I worked at. These were just some scrap pieces. You can do it with anything. It's 3/4 inch material, so you can run the same plywood as the build structure of the drawer system. You can paint it however you want, and then I screwed those on from the inside out, so there's no bolts showing out here. And then I did a flush mount handle, so I routed out the hole for the handle and did that. So that's that. You should be able to figure that out, and you can put your own little twist on that if you want. There is room between the drawer face and the latch, or the hatch of the cargo space. If you want to run a different handle system, it doesn't have to be a flush mount. The tolerances aren't that tight, so you can run just like a bar pole or something if you wanted. Some other things to note: I just used a latch mechanism, like a, see if I can find, you can see a little bit here. I just ran some latches on the outsides to keep the drawers in while I'm driving, and then I made some cubby pieces, just cut those to fit, and then use some L brackets on the back to close those gaps. So that's all up to you guys. The most important pieces are the drawers and the carcass, and you can add those finishing touches. I used some carpet off of Amazon. I just spray glued it on, and then I think I ended up using a staple gun to staple the edges just so it wouldn't pull up when I was loading gear in and out. And I actually ended up using this kind of aluminum edge. I think you can get that from Home Depot. That just, you can slide stuff in and out way easier. And then as far as mounting the drawer system in the vehicle, I just used a turnbuckle setup. So I hooked it on the OEM cargo tie down spot, bolted them through, bolted like a little hook through there, and then used the turnbuckles to really tighten it down. Keeps it from moving. So that's pretty much it. If you guys check out my Instagram, I have a story saved with a little more information on the drawer system, but nothing crazy. I apologize that I don't have any more information than this. This is all I have, and I don't have the vehicle anymore, so it's hard for me to go out and take measurements. I don't even have it. So everything is to scale though. So if you want to take the time to measure this out and kind of draw it out yourself, this is a really good start. And it's really not that hard. It took me a little bit of time, but I also slowed down my process. I wanted this to look really good. So you guys could whip this together pretty quick if you wanted to. But let me know if you have any questions or concerns. I'll be answering any questions in the comments below, or you can message me on Instagram as well. But if you ask questions on the public comments, that might help other people resolve their questions as well. So I'd advise you to do that first. That way that information's out there for everyone to see. But yeah, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to my content. It helps me out a lot. Gives me the motivation to keep putting out content. We're starting to get more views and more subscriptions, so I'm excited to see the channel growing, and hopefully it continues to grow with more content that I put out. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll figure out how to make this file shareable, and hopefully you guys are able to make some drawer systems. I want to see some of the finished products, so if you guys do finish one and you take some pictures or videos, let me know. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.